Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 13 four key game picks. Before we talk about Week 13, I don't want to get into too much detail on Week number 12. And Week number 12, it was a little interesting. Well, obviously from the obvious winners like the Packers and the Patriots. And well, actually, I would say maybe the only surprises were in a couple of games. Number one was the Ravens barely beating the Cleveland Browns, despite it was basically turnovers galore in that game, and I don't know what transpired in that game. It was kind of a crazy game in itself, but the Ravens barely getting the win over the Browns, and now they're at the top of the AFC conference right now. And it's really tough to say the way that that Week 12 last week it really transpired. I mean, obviously, one of the shockers really was the Raiders beating the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. And the Cowboys got a lot of questions right now in regards to what's in terms of both offense and defense. What is going on here? I mean, it took till overtime for the Raiders to beat the Cowboys, and it should have never gotten to that point. Like, I don't know, the Cowboys got a lot of problems, and it's really tough to say right now how this is gonna play out for that team because they need to. There's a lot of things they need to fix, and they need to fix it fast. So the only other things I could think that I see from last week, uh, the Buccaneers barely beating the Colts. It took to the last possession in order to beat them. I'm starting to wonder. I don't know how healthy is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, there's a lot of questions going on for that football team too, as well. So it's really tough to say in the NFC, but right now it just seems like the Packers are the team that's really the ones trying to make the statement and all. And they're well, the Cardinals are still at the top, but they had their bye weeks and they play again this week. So I look at it right now in the AFC. Right now, it's still continuing to change little by little. I mean, we really don't know who really is at the top of that conference. We thought the Patriots looked like they were going to take over the conference at the 1 seed. The Ravens are playing at somewhat of a high level, but doesn't seem like it in their last football games. Um, it's really tough to say how this week's is gonna look. And as I get into my picks, it'll be interesting to see in the AFC if anything changes in regards. I know in the NFC, it's either the Cardinals or the Packers or the Buccaneers that I consider. They're, in my opinion, they're at the top of the conference. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to catch either one of them as they're jockeying for the 1 through 4 seeds in the NFC conference. Anyways, let's talk about week number 13. All right, let's begin with key game number 1. It is the Chargers versus the Bengals. The Bengals are a 3-point favorite in this one here. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes down a little bit lower, like 2.5, maybe 2. But Herbert and the Chargers last week, they got dismantled by the Broncos. And you look at his stats, 28 of 44, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. And those interceptions, one of them was a pick 6. And you got to wonder with this Charger offense, how they're going to be ready for this game against the Bengals, because the Bengals destroyed the Steelers last week. And Burrow's stats, 20 of 24, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Basically, it was a total butt whooping. And Cincinnati right now is starting to get on a groove here, and you got to wonder if this team finally shows some strength. I know they've had struggles during the earlier part of the season, but I don't know if they continue to start playing as well as they have. I mean, who's to say this team could be a team that you probably don't want to play with. You don't want to play against. Really tough to say for this game right now because the Chargers need this game badly in order to keep pace in the AFC West, because the AFC West has gotten more and more tighter as the Chargers, Broncos, and the Raiders are only 1 game back of the Kansas City Chiefs at the top of the AFC West. Now the Bengals right now, it's an important game for them as well, as they're trying to keep pace with the Baltimore Ravens. I look at this football game right now. Cincinnati's offense, they're continuing to be on a groove. Their running game is pretty well, and that's been the main problem the Chargers have had in throughout the entire season, not able to stop the run. And unless if any way that the Chargers defense can fix their defense at all in the inability to stop the run, I like the Bengals in this game. The Chargers have to prove to me and everybody else that if their defense is willing to step up and stop the run as well as the pass, they got to be able to stop a high-powered offense. Otherwise, I like the Bengals in this game. The Bengals look like they're more complete right now. The Chargers have too many issues right now at the offensive line. Herbert has been rushed a lot. He got rushed a lot last week against the Broncos. And obviously, he's just been completely off. Basically playing like a rookie instead of playing like a veteran. So it's really tough to say if the Chargers defense will step up in this game. I don't think so. The way the Bengals offense has played, to me, they look like they might destroy the Chargers in this game here. And I got to go with the Bengals here. It pains me to say that, but I'm picking the Bengals here. Bengals -3, Bengals over the Chargers. Key game number 2, a big one, going to a big AFC West game. Broncos versus the Chiefs. If you look at the odds for this game, it doesn't, I mean, you would think that how is this a big game if the Chiefs are favored by 10? It wouldn't surprise me if this goes a little bit lower, but right now, the Chiefs are favored by 10 points. This is huge for a reason, because the Broncos are 1 game back, and the way they destroyed the Chargers last week, let's see how well they do against the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs, they had a bye week. Mahomes, 23 of 37, 260 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and a win against the Cowboys back in Week 11. Terry Bridgewater, he went 11 of 18, 129 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He got a little bit banged up in the game against the Chargers. His knee was hurt a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see how well he plays in this game if he's still hurting. I'm going to make this quick here. I mean, I think the Chiefs offense is just going to be too much for the Broncos to handle here. The Chiefs defense has improved a little bit. They're finally be able to make some big plays at the end. And I think, to me, the Chiefs are going to be too much for the Broncos to handle here. I'll be surprised if the Broncos make it a football game, but I think the Chiefs are just a tad better than they are, and you got to go with the Chiefs -10 on this one here. The Chiefs offense, they're really getting in their groove now. Their defense has improved a little bit, and I like the Chiefs in this game. I think the Chiefs will maintain first place here. I'm going to go with the Chiefs -10 over the Broncos. Key game number 3, it is the Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Ravens are a 4-point favorite in this one here, and I would say just about right. The way the Steelers have been playing in their last 2 games, they've been dismantled. They got dismantled by the Bengals, and they barely lost to the Chargers. And there's a lot of questions going on in that offense as well as their defense here. Now, Roethlisberger in a disastrous game last week against the Bengals, 24-41, 263 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Now, Lamar Jackson in barely beating the Browns. Keep in mind, one key stat he had in that game. Look, 20 of 32, 165 yards, 1 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions in the first half of the game against the Browns. Let's see if the Ravens can limit the turnovers here. My bigger question and concerning right now is, can the Ravens limit the turnovers here? Because that was basic. I noticed the trend a little bit here. The Ravens have been turning the ball over a lot more than usual. And especially this is the Steelers' last chance to at least try to make something in the division, because right now they're barely trying to fight for a wild card spot at the moment right now. I look at this game right now. The Ravens really got to limit the turnovers here if they really want to make a statement against the Steelers. The Steelers right now, this is their last chance to hopefully stay in the AFC playoff picture right now, because they're starting to falter right now, and they are in danger of falling further behind for the wild card. And especially the fact that the teams that are in front of them right now are basically have a better winning percentage, and they're in front of them. So the Steelers have, in a must-win game, they have to win this one here. I just don't see it happening here. If they don't resolve the issues on the offense as well as the defense here, I like the Ravens in this game. but take them with a grain of salt. Between these two teams lately, it's basically a bloodbath. Expect hard physical action in this game. It could be low scoring. It wouldn't surprise me here, but I'm going to pick the Ravens here. It's going to be a tight game. I could see this being a very tight game between these two teams, but I'm going to pick the Ravens. I think, to me, they'll beat the Steelers here. The Steelers got too many issues both on offense and defense, and they got to fix it fast if they want a chance at the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen in this game. I think the Ravens will beat the Steelers here. I'll take the Ravens -4. Ravens over the Steelers. And finally, key game number 4, a big one in the AFC East. The New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. Mac Jones, 23 of 32, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. They basically destroy the Titans. Now the Bills, they basically did a number on the Saints on Thanksgiving. Josh Allen, 23 of 28, 260 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. The Bills are a slight favorite at 2.5. That number, I can see it going to 2, maybe 1.5, with the way the Patriots defense has played in their last 4 games. Especially, they've held their opponents basically to under 20 points. And this is where the Bills need to make a statement here. If they got to show that they're now becoming the class of the AFC, this is the Bills' big opportunity now to show the Patriots here, you had your time. It is our time now. This is going to be a tight football game. I can see this being a very tight game. The Patriots defense, I think I could see them struggling in this game with the Bills offense here. I could see it's definitely going to be a close game here. So this is basically a coin flip in this game here. So it's really tough to say. I know the Patriots defense has played well. Their defense has played very well, but the Bills offense finally start to get back on a groove last week against the Saints here. And it is going to be a very difficult pick here to see who wins this game, because basically whoever wins this game will have complete control of the division for sure. I know that eventually these two teams will play each other one more time in New England. The first meeting right now is in Buffalo. I have to say this right now. The Bills offense, they got to find a way to break that Patriot defense here. It is going to be a very tight game here. Take this with a grain of salt. Treat this with caution here, because I'm going to pick the Bills. I think the Bills will make a statement here against the Patriots here. They've been waiting for this. They started to see the Patriots starting to get on a groove, and there's no other opponent they want to make a statement with other than Bill Belichick and that team. So it'll be a close game. Patriots defense is good, but I think, to me, the Bills are going to make their statement. It will be a tight game for sure, but I'm going to pick the Bills here, -2.5 here. It's going to be a close game. Bills -2.5 over the Patriots. All right, everybody, that wraps up my 4 key game picks for week number 13. For all my week 13 picks, please check the description below, and I'll see everybody next week when I make my picks for week 14. Take care and enjoy your football weekend.